Are you curious about writing as a way to foster or enhance your personal growth, your mental health, or self discovery, self healing? I'm not talking about creative writing or the great American novel kind of thing or anything to be published, really. I'm talking about writing just for you, for yourself. I really think personal writing, some people call it journaling, can be a great tool for a variety of mental health and well being purposes. Welcome. My name's Kelly. I'm here to share insights from my training and experience in psychology and therapy. Thank you so much for joining me here. Journaling. I'm a huge proponent. I do it myself and I recommend it to my clients. I really value Carl Jung's technique of active imagination, using a journal to record as he did in his black books and his beautiful art journal, the Red Book. I also love Dr. Ira Progoff's intensive journal method, which is an extension and an application of Jung's work. I've been participating in those workshops for years, and I've received great personal benefit from that method. Dr. James Pennebaker's work on expressive writing and all the research that's been done around that approach and variations on it. I also like Linda Metcalf's proprioceptive writing technique. I'll talk about all those writing approaches and some of the research behind the benefits of this kind of personal self-expression in other videos. Here, I'd really like to start a series of discussions on personal writing by telling you some of my own experiences with it. And I'm going to tell you about one really great, simple, and easy way to do this. It's a very powerful tool. It's one of my mental health go-tos. I'm talking about morning pages. Now, the morning pages tool comes from a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. She wrote the book for artists of all kinds, people seeking to do creative work who might find themselves stuck or blocked. So it's a tool for creative unblocking. But it doesn't have to be just for artists. And I want you to think of creativity in the sense of not just creating works of art like novels or painting masterpieces, but creating your own life, the life you want. Now, of course, things happen in all of our lives that are outside of our control, and we have limitations and restrictions that we don't have any control over. That's the human condition. We all know that. But to a very large degree, we do create our own lives. This is because we have 100% control over all of our own choices and actions and behaviors. Something that happens to humans is that we get stuck in patterns, like behavior patterns, thinking patterns, or just these old tired narratives that aren't doing us any good. You do not have to be an artist or any kind of professional writer to benefit greatly from using morning pages to help you get unblocked or unstuck. Your writing skill does not matter at all. In fact, if you do have writing skill, throw it out the window for this. This is a method that I use on a regular basis, and I have for years. I love the benefits of it for me, so I recommend it to my therapy clients. What I've experienced are things like figuring out who I really am at a deeper level, who I want to be, what I really want my life to be like, what I want to be doing with my life, like vocational stuff. That's been central for me in my journal work. I've experienced other benefits too, like emotional healing from traumatic kinds of wounds and life events. I've received help with solving problems, untangling relational struggles with other people, clarifying my goals and my personal values, breaking unwanted habits, and creating new ones. Also, better understanding and management of my thoughts and my emotions. When I do personal writing or journaling on a regular basis, I feel like I'm more awake in my own life, more in charge, and I'm wiser somehow for having really dug down deep into myself through the writing. I feel somehow that maybe I've created new pathways and connections in my consciousness. I've kind of like explained things to myself in a way that makes so much more sense and feels so much better than when it was just bouncing around in my head all jumbled up. So I find that I get clarity and a better understanding out of what's in my mind. It's kind of like you're creating a map of you, your inner world, your insides, so to speak. Through personal writing, I feel like I get in touch with my inner resources, my inner strength, inner wisdom, my true self. And these resources kind of bubble up into my conscious awareness from way down below the surface. I can definitely trace many instances of insight and change in my own life back to personal writing. I also notice a difference in myself when I do not write for a while. I find myself feeling more sluggish, kind of muddled, a bit jumbled up, maybe even a little bit stagnant or weighed down by all the mixed up stuff in my head. Sometimes I feel I'm off track and just generally off. Think of yourself as an iceberg. There's only a tiny tip of you up above the surface, a very small percentage of you. That tip is like your everyday conscious part. And if you think of the total size of an iceberg, it's much bigger down underneath the surface, down in the depths. Don't you want to gain access to the rest of yourself, the deeper and kind of more expansive parts of you that you're not even conscious of or aware of on a regular basis? I know I do. I think there's all kinds of wisdom. It's kind of like ancient treasure down in there, just within your own self. So how do we get to it? Writing is one great way to access this deep wellspring of inner wisdom. Now, I love morning pages as an approach for this because it's just easy to do, because it's easy to remember the parameters or rules, but there really are no set in stone rules because this is just a certain way of free writing. Julia Cameron gives instructions for morning pages, but she also says there's no wrong way to do it. So I'm going to give you these instructions. They're an excellent guide or map for how to do this. Fill 3 full-size pages with longhand writing every morning, just as soon as possible upon awakening. This is free writing, so just write, stream of consciousness, anything that's in your mind, whatever comes up. Do not worry about spelling, grammar, punctuation, usage, neatness, anything you learned in English class. These pages are for your eyes only. Keep them private. So that's it for the instructions. Okay, here's a few questions you may have about these instructions. Why 3 pages? The answer to that question is, I have no idea. No, really, I don't know. But I do try to write at least 3 pages. Sometimes I find myself writing more than that, but I try not to do less. I think it takes at least 3 pages to give yourself time to get below the surface of things. If you do less than that, you don't really get into the flow of it anyway. Okay, why handwriting? Can't I use a keyboard? More right brain connection. The thoughts come straight from your right brain, down your arm, and onto the page. There's just more of a flow to handwriting than there is with typing. But again, there's no real wrong way to do this. If you must, maybe try doing it both ways. If you find you really prefer typing, then by all means, go for it. Do I have to do it every day? Yes, but of course, no. You want to aim to do it every day, at least at first, while you're trying to form a habit or just finding out if it's right for you. I don't think it's as effective if you're just really sporadic, but sometimes is better than never. Why in the morning, right when you wake up? Well, first thing in the morning, your guard is down. You're catching your mind at its most vulnerable, open, and honest state before it even has a chance to create all of its defenses. Ideally, you're not even fully awake and conscious. You're kind of still in dreamland or just on the threshold. So you're more in your right brain, the creative side of the brain. Immediately upon awakening, you're closer to the depths of yourself than you will be later in the day when you're trying to do your job or, I don't know, pay bills or something. By writing while in this state, you can evade your mind's censor, your own judging, criticizing tendencies that live in the left brain. You can kind of sneak past these logical, sensible censor type parts that we all have. This is important because we want some of that unconscious stuff to come up from the depths and join us in our conscious awareness so we can explore it and learn from it. Remember, this is about digging deep. Yes, it's best to do it in the morning, but doing it later in the day is better than not doing it at all. What do I write about? The answer is whatever is there, whatever comes into your mind. Cameron calls it a brain drain. Follow the little voice that you hear in your mind, and as you're listening to it, write it down. Take notes on what you're hearing. You may write, I don't know what to write, blah, blah, blah. Maybe something like that. And don't worry if it's negative. You're kind of clearing away negativity, siphoning it off, discharging it, releasing it. But mostly, and importantly, we're just bringing it into our awareness and acknowledging it. Awareness is a key factor in change. We have a tendency to push the negative down below the surface because we don't like it. But we can't really fully get rid of it, so we might as well know about it. So it's not hanging over our heads in a kind of unconscious way, and so it doesn't sneak up on us when we least expect it. Have you ever heard of the concept of the shadow? This is an idea from Carl Jung. The idea is that all that stuff that we don't want to claim about ourselves, the parts of ourselves that we reject, everything that we choose not to integrate into our self-concept, all of that stuff falls into the shadow. But if we're going to be fully integrated, individuated, whole beings, we really need to face our shadow. We need to bring it into the open, or onto the page in this case. There's a lot of valuable stuff there in the shadows. The Morning Pages tool is great for shadow work. Why do these pages have to be private? So you can be completely honest, open, and vulnerable. If you don't know while you're writing that you're going to be keeping your pages only for yourself, then you'll tend to censor what you write. It won't be as honest, so it won't be as useful to you. Just know while you're writing that it's going to be completely private. That way you can be honest. You can certainly vary these instructions in any of the ways I've mentioned, or in your own ways, of course. However, I suggest if you really want to see what Morning Pages can do for you, then go ahead and try it following the stated instructions. See how it feels for you and how it works. Then you can figure out if you want to customize and adapt it for yourself. So I challenge you to see for yourself. Give Morning Pages a try and do it for 30 days. Happy writing!